ready to start. You can put questions in the YouTube channel, and I can see any questions for anyone who's watching. Feel free to chat. Okay, hi everyone, I'm Jill. I'm here with Moth Learning, even though I'm at Simplify. So we're doing a Moth Learning Open House, and we're going to meet some of the other teachers and talk about Moth Learning and our philosophy. So I started Moth Learning 3 years ago with my son Trufo. The first year, Aaliyah and I taught only because True was finishing his degree. And then the second year is this past year, and it was Aaliyah, True, and Christy. And now the upcoming year, we have more teachers, Peter being one of them. So thank you for joining our open house. I think we'll go around and let everyone introduce yourselves. Does that sound good? Okay, Aaliyah.
Yeah, that's
you've been here the longest.
Okay.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Aaliyah. I am a history teacher at Moth Learning. As Jill mentioned, we've been here since the beginning, so it's been really fun to see how Moth is growing, adding new courses. All of our, new faculty are absolutely amazing. But I myself was homeschooled along with True since we were really, really young kids. So we're already very familiar with the homeschooling environment. Since I would probably say about second grade, I think you guys started a little bit earlier than my family. But yeah, they kind of introduced us into the homeschooling world. Absolutely loved it. It really worked for us. And then as we got older and homeschooling kind of evolved, I should say, we really got into online classes in high school. Those kind of became more of an option. And so we really became very passionate at Moth about kind of curating very specific courses that aren't necessarily on the market for homeschoolers. So I think we do really offer very unique courses for specific kinds of students and specific learning needs. So I think it's a really fun, engaging environment where you get to take very unique courses. My specialization is history. I have my degree in history with a minor in Native American studies. So I'm really passionate about kind of bringing the past into the present, making kids kind of connect the dots or see how history is very relevant to modern day politics issues and popular culture, what's going on in their lives, even though they might not realize it yet. But I think it's a really fun way to teach history, kind of, again, engaging students more in a way where they can relate to it. It's not like a dry, boring subject as history can be for so many people. So again, I think, that's one of our priorities at Moth is kind of putting a fun spin on more traditional topics to create these really, really unique courses. But yeah, that's kind of it for now. So I'll probably pass it off to True since we kind of talked a little bit about our connection within the homeschooling world.
Go ahead, True. Introduce yourself. Thank you, Leah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Trufo Harper. I'm also a teacher here at Moth Learning, and my degree was a master's in geospatial information science and technologies. So that's kind of both coding and environmental science, and I'm teaching stuff relevant to both currently at Moth. So this past year, I ran an intro to game design course, as well as an environmental book club, and I'm looking to expand what I'm teaching this year. I also handle a lot of the stuff on the back end. So the stuff like to do with writing our website, that type of thing. So that's a bit about me. Less than you said, Aaliyah, but I think you covered a lot about what our philosophy is there.
True does a lot of the back end stuff, and if any families ever have any issues, True is the one to email because he can handle it really, really quickly. He knows everything that's going on. Thank you, True. Okay, Christy, go ahead. Oh wait, you're muted. You're muted.
Oh no.
Did one of those faux pas, right? Because I muted it so you wouldn't hear my dog. My name is Christy Buss, and this is my second year teaching at Moth. I am a homeschool mom myself. I have 2 college students, a high school student, and a middle schooler. And I came to teach in Moth because one of my sons took a class with Aaliyah the first year of Moth, and I thought it was the perfect fit for us because he's a STEM kid, had a lot of really rigorous classes, but has a lot of different things he's interested in, loves to just learn things. And it was the perfect fit for him. And I thought, oh, I've taught online before and I just dislike where teachers are sort of forced into, well, we want you to do this, we want you to do that, X, Y, and Z. And I feel like we're homeschoolers. We should be able, like, the flexibility and the love of learning is what draws so many people to homeschooling. And I feel like sometimes online classes can sometimes feel like it's the antithesis of homeschooling.
Right.
And I just love that Moth was like, we are talking about things we're interested in. And I am one of those people that thinks teenagers are like the greatest. I love teenagers. I think they have so much insight and so much, interest, so many interesting things to say. And I teach a lot of things having to do with government and law. I'm a lawyer by trade. And I now, homeschool all 4 of my kids. And I was looking for something that would allow me, I love to teach and bring in some of my skills. And I am expanding a little bit this next year, doing some, I've taught literature in the past, but I'm doing a literature class that's sort of has a theme of justice, right? So you can sort of see throughout cultures and different time periods how authors, do one of those, because that's such a main theme in a lot of stories, right? How do they view right and wrong and morality and justice? So expanding a little bit of that, doing some current events. I teach law and a couple different types of government classes because government is often, some states require it. Some people just want it in their homeschool because civic responsibility. It's important to understand how things work. And so I think it offers them a chance to learn those things in a different, fun way and lets them really kind of understand how it's relevant to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they get really passionate about it because they have these strong beliefs and strong ideas. And I think it's so great to be able to cultivate that in teenagers because they are so passionate about things.
Teenagers are it's just, until you have teenagers, you don't quite understand it because little kids are so much fun and you love them so much. And it's like, oh my gosh, they're doing all this. But when you get teenagers and they just like start turning into adults and their personality comes through and like you can have actual really intelligent conversations with them and stuff, it is so much fun. I love teenagers. They're just so great.
I feel like working with so many different ages. I used to coach sports for like really young kids. And so I've worked with a lot of different age groups, but there is something so unique about teenagers where I think because they're at that like pivotal stage where they're developing who they are as a person, you can really cultivate so much interesting conversation where they're willing to engage with like a diverse amount of ideas and, perceptions of it. Like they're really like, it's not that they're moldable, but they're like interested in molding themselves, like you don't have to just throw facts at them and they're like, okay, this is who I am now. They're like, well, wait, what about this? Or, they have so many questions and they're very curious about becoming unique individuals where it's just so much fun to see that develop throughout this course of the school year. Where they really come into their own and they really, take to these different ideas or reject other ones. It's really,
it's so much fun. And they love to, I want to get back to introducing all of us, but they really love to share their ideas and their thoughts. And I think it's so important for these young people to have a place where they can share their ideas, share their thoughts, think things through before they go to college, because I think one of the things that's so important at university is being able to discuss in a classroom setting and feel confident, and be open to like having your beliefs challenged a little bit and to sharing other beliefs and everything. And we really try to do that here at Moth. Okay, thank you. Peter, a new teacher here. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, I'm Peter Orvetti. I am new to formal homeschooling teaching, but My wife and I taught our twin sons all the way through, and one of them got his BA 3 days ago.
Yep.
So we're on the far end
Congratulations.
of it. If you know Simplify, you will also know my wife, Farah, who is Jill's partner. And Farah doesn't teach through Moth, but she teaches through another online school for homeschoolers, and so I have sat beside her while she's working on curriculum. I've heard about her classes, and I thought, wow, there's stuff that I could teach. And my background is in politics and religion, and I have a particular interest in new religious movements and cults. And my first thought was, well, a comparative religion class would be interesting as much as I love the cult stuff. And Farah said, well, cults might not be a good sell, but Jill said, no, do cults. That's fun. So I'm going to teach a course on cult sects and new religious movements, looking at them through the lens of why they arise, mostly in the United States. So there will be a few international, mostly the United States, why they arose in times of history when they did, what it says about the culture of that time, what it says about the religious tenor of the time. A lot of times these groups, if there's such a spate of documentaries on such groups now, but they tend to either be from the perspective of people within them who are apologists, or really digging into the lurid, almost true crime aspects. And my interest, as much as possible, is in looking at these organizations the same way you'd look at any other religion. Obviously, some of them will have, there's something, you can't talk about Charles Manson and ignore.
Right.
But in as much as possible, looking at assessing these groups through why they arose when they did, who's attracted to them, and what role they play in society.
Yeah, and this is a really interesting course. And Aaliyah, when you were talking about how we try to offer things outside the box and things that other providers aren't offering, this course would be exactly one of those examples. And it is full and waitlisted, but Peter's going to open up a second section. So if
yes,
anyone is interested,
I'm not sure when that will be. I will decide that like today, honestly. So
we'll have the info
up so quickly that I'd love to have more folks.
So we're going to make that available. Okay, thank you. Let me introduce a little bit more about myself. Obviously, I have homeschooled all my kids from the beginning. Truffaut is my son. He was my oldest. I have two others. My youngest also just graduated a few days ago from the University of Virginia. Correct. So Farah and I were both celebrating graduates. I am now done completely. I feel like I've raised everyone and they're all good. Yes, they all made it. And I've always been drawn to outside the box education. I left high school early. I lived in California. I took the proficiency exam, and I went right on to community college because that was the pathway with that. And have always really done my own thing with education. And I wanted that at Moth, that we are doing something a little different. We are very open to students with disabilities, which that's through Truffaut. You can talk about that a little bit, Truffaut. But and we're very, Farah and I work with tons of students who are trying to prepare and go to college. And we help them plan every year. And these teens and the parents always need some classes that are very interesting and high input with really good resources and books and engaging teachers and rich discussion, but not tons of busy work at all, to have balance to their schedule. So we call it high input, low output. There is still work done in every class. It's not like there's nothing. It's not like you're just watching videos, but it's very big on everyone learning to discuss. We like cameras on. We want students engaged with the teacher and with each other. We feel that's very, very important for homeschoolers. And because of that, we get to know all the kids. We're always willing to write letters of recommendation if needed when applying to college. We provide course descriptions to all the families at the end of the year. And any families that have seniors, we provide it sooner if you need it. And we are very open to having students become TAs in Moth Learning. And we just had all our TAs finish, and we sent them a nice little gift card because they all worked so hard. And we love our TAs. So if you're here for at least a year, you can TA the next year and really, really have some input on helping courses and getting to know the teachers and everything. So that's really what Moth is about. True, can you talk a little bit about your background and why we're so open to students with disabilities?
Yeah, sure. So I myself am a person with a disability, and I found especially Well, I guess this is universally true across the board, but there isn't like a lot of support for that, you know.
Yeah,
Obviously, there's things you have to do, like to meet state regulations and stuff like that. But I feel like what's really lacking a lot of the time is getting information to students, you know, about what they can do to get support,
yeah,
how they can access those services, what's even available. And this becomes especially hard to navigate, you know, once you go on to college for people who go on to college. And so here at Moth, I wanted to make sure, you know, we had a different experience with that. We will basically accommodate anything people need.
yeah.
And we're very open to just making the learning experience as accessible as possible for
Mhm.
people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was really, really important. And I think one of the reasons is that sometimes you've dealt with some situations where you weren't supported as a person with a disability in an education setting. And we wanted to make sure that everyone is definitely supported here. Also, and just want these students to feel very, very comfortable and safe and get some confidence in explaining their disability if they need to, and knowing they're supported so that when they go on to the next stage, whatever it is, they can start advocating for themselves. Because it's really hard as a young person when you're 18, 19, and you go off to college and you suddenly have to advocate so much. And to have a little experience and support before that, I think goes a really long way. So that's one thing we really wanted to do here at Moth. Okay, so some of us talked about our courses a little bit. Does anyone want to highlight another course or talk a little bit more in depth? I know, Trufo, talk about a few of yours because you didn't yet.
Yeah, so the one I'm really looking to get more enrollments in is the Environmental Book Club.
Yeah.
We ran that last year. It was a lot of fun. We talk about a wide range of topics. So that included stuff such as, you know, wildlife preservation, but it also included things like consumerism, things we need to be doing differently as a society to like curb the level of waste we are putting out into the environment. We talked about like various like
Are you looking at your course description?
maybe.
That's okay. I have mine all pulled up too.
Yeah, we talked about like, you know, some more of these like more modern issues like with power consumption and stuff like that, you know, wide range of topics. We tried to keep it like less doom and gloom than some of these things often are. So we talk about, you know, the bad, we talk about extinction events, we talk about dwindling resources, but then we also talk about the positive things like the solutions we're finding now, you know, the ways people are actually making a difference, because this is not just a doom and gloom topic. People tend to be defeatist about it, but that's just not really the reality of the situation. And so it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of great discussions there. It's a very discussion-based course. It's about discussing the books we read. So
yeah,
if
I
that's
want
a
to
little
say,
interesting.
let me say something really quick and then we'll go to your next one. So our book, we have several book clubs here at Moth Learning. We have they switch every year. We're doing sci-fi dystopian, queer studies through graphic novels, which I'll be teaching and I'm really excited about. The environmental book club. And do we have another one? Now I can't remember. Oh, we have a psychology, film, and book and film club. So that's a little bit. And these ones meet once a month. And it's really great for homeschoolers because one of the things that for college admissions that they look at is course descriptions. And what they really look at is resources used. And to have a really nice book list, especially if it ties into something your student's interested in. So for kids who want to go into environmental science, doing the environmental science book club for a half a credit, you know, and you read 10 really good books. And again, they're not all doom and gloom because we were very aware of that. We didn't want kids to leave depressed. But then you can put this nice book list on your course descriptions and your students get a really good chance to discuss these topics once a month in a very lively discussion. So I really, really love the book clubs here at Moth. I've been doing book clubs for 10 years or more. I started on OutSchool and I ran so many book clubs there. And it's one of my biggest joys. I'm also doing a summer book club for younger students when we don't normally do this for 12 to 14-year-olds, because I used to teach just middle school and out school, and I kind of missed it. So I'm testing out this summer book club. We'll be reading 5 books over the summer if anyone has younger kids. And if it gets a lot of, if a lot of people enjoy it, we'll continue it throughout the year. So there's going to be possibly that one too. And that's our book clubs. Okay, True, what about your new class?
Yeah, I've got a new class coming up. I actually have the textbook right here. It's going to be the history of game design. So we're going to be starting with like the early days in like the 1960s, 1970s, talking about how that developed up until today. This is going to be our textbook. Oh, the filter does not like that. But it's called The Ultimate History of Video Games. And it goes over a lot of that stuff. That's going to be kind of a combination of lecture and discussion. So it's not really a book club, but we are still going to be discussing a lot of what happened, our opinions and thoughts on that, how things played out. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's the first year we're running that. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. But so far, I think it's looking to be pretty interesting. And we've already got a big turnout for that one. So
yeah. I'm put a link in our YouTube chat for our courses if anyone would like to see it. Okay, so you can go to that. Okay, and then also Truffaut does game design, but you have so many students in that class, so I think
I'm probably going to close that soon. I don't really want to promote that more. If anyone wants to do
game design, which is very collaborative and really fun, we had such great feedback on that. They made a game this year. It'll be offered the next year too, so that's something to look forward to. Okay, let's
1 or 2 more people. But
okay, yeah. If anyone really wants game design, you better sign up right now because that's going to close. Yeah. All right. I'm just going to go through everyone. Peter, do you want to talk about some of the? You made a really great video for Instagram where you highlighted some books and stuff. Is there any, like, what exactly are you going to talk about, Peter, in your class?
Well, a project, kind of a personal passion project of mine for the last couple of years has been an online encyclopedia of all these groups. Again, so awesome. The approach I take is just, this is who they are, this is their history, this is what they believe, with as little judgment as possible. Again, in some cases, judgment is required, but and that in the end will have, I have a long list. There will be about 900 entries in the end. I'm about 200 through, so that's going to be a long-term ongoing project. But if you look at the curriculum, and this again, I think the other section I'm probably going to put it on Wednesdays. We'll decide that later. But the curricula, the syllabus rather, is on the website. Essentially, I went through all these groups. Some of them are names everyone will know. Some of them are names folks won't be familiar with, and broke them up somewhat chronologically, but also just by general subject areas. Like these are groups that grew out of Christian tradition. These are Eastern imports, or a lot of those in the 60s, groups that have that are drawn from Hinduism, that are drawn from Buddhism. The so-called suicide cults and the sort of mythology around some of them. Like, you know, for a very long time, everyone believed 900 people killed themselves at Jonestown, where we pretty much know now that that is not at all the case, that in almost all those cases, you know, those people did not make that choice. So I'm looking at it through the lens of, you know, history, but also some of the suppositions about these groups. The text will be things that I've written for my site, but also just resources that I've drawn on over the years.
Right.
There's a wonderful graphic novel, which I've actually, not a graphic novel, a graphic text, which I've recommended to folks who want to get an early read, called American Cult, which is
nice.
which is just about 2 or 3 years old. Actually, I'll pop a link to that, which is just graphic style histories with a few of these groups. I'm sure I'll be using some of that. There's various blogs and such I'm familiar with. Again, this is just something I have, and you said, you know, the video, I just pulled some of my books off the shelf, and those were just
ones. It's a good video.
I have a very large library of these things, and I can recommend, you know, thick books to anyone of interest on any of these subjects, but I'm going to try to narrow it down a little.
That's really good. Okay, awesome. I wish I could take that class, actually.
Same.
Right? Yeah, Christy does too. Aaliyah, go ahead and talk about some of yours, then Christy, you and I'll go next.
Yeah, for sure. So I have our Modern American History through Music. We've actually just closed that one. But because of that, I do want to highlight our World History, Food, and Politics class. I was just having a conversation about this with a parent who was interested, who took the Modern American History through Music last year. But this is a really great substitute course if you weren't able to enroll in the music course. Kind of a similar premise in that we try to make history more fun and engaging. This course kind of jumps around through different time periods in history, different locations, and covers a lot of issues around labor, race inequality, gender inequality, a lot of revolutions naturally when it comes to food production, how politics ties into how we grow our food, get our food, and kind of regulations around that. So it's really, really fun. Great for the student who has a hard time focusing on anything for too long, especially as I mentioned. Unfortunately, history can be very, very dry sometimes. And I think this class really does a great job of kind of, at the very least, mitigating that. But I think it completely kind of flips it on its head and makes it something really fun. So that's a great alternative. Again, if you didn't have time to sign up for the music history course, if you're really wanting to get in that course, feel free to email me. If you're a parent curious about enrolling your student, we might be able to make some more room, but that one's pretty full. Our other courses that I'm offering are going to be museum studies courses. So last year we did Introduction to Museum Studies. This is actually becoming Advanced Museum Studies this year. We go into a lot of kind of problems in museum spaces, especially surrounding repatriation. So kind of giving back objects to countries of origin, to specific groups of people, especially when we think about places like Africa or indigenous communities in the United States, East Asia. A lot of people who want these artifacts back, how we got them, if it's ethical, going into NAGPRA, so thinking about returning human remains. We also kind of go over just again, like the general history of museums and all kind of like the more ethic-based questions behind it, which is really, really interesting. So we've kind of pushed that into being more of an advanced class now. I've added a new Introduction to Museum Studies class, which will be more of the fun stuff, more of the lighthearted kind of subjects like curating exhibits, what goes into that, kind of focusing on specific types of exhibits like space, more biology-based exhibits, history exhibits, looking at archaeology behind it, how people kind of find those things in modern times. So dealing a little bit less with the kind of nitty-gritty ethics and, kind of more depressing problems behind it, and focusing more just on why, homeschoolers love being in museum spaces. So that's a really great option for the student who is less interested in learning about, how do we solve these issues? And it's a lot of like heavy topics. But really great for those who are wanting to be more engaged with proactive change. So there's something for everyone. We've kind of split it into two classes now. So there's a little bit of everything.
That's awesome.
I also have a course that is going to be another world history course. I think people really gravitated towards that style of class where we kind of jump around from place to place. This will be World History, Peace, and Protest. This is a class that I'm super, super excited about. It's going to be a new one for this year. But kind of thinking about, especially in the world we live in today, where there's not a whole lot of peace going on, I think it's really, really relevant and kind of goes back to this idea of how history can really reflect or help us to understand present day. So especially when we think about, things going on in Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, kind of this list that's now ever increasing with, problems happening. It's all very predictable stuff, and so I think that by introducing this through the theme of, peace and protest, looking at how different groups of people across the globe have either wanted to advocate for peace or, protest against wartime or protest against violence. I think it's a really interesting way to look at history, something that kind of highlights everyday people rather than, really important, political figures and, people who kind of make those decisions, but it doesn't always impact them. So this kind of puts the power into the hands of the students to really think critically about this. And we also have a really interesting section of the class towards the end of the year where we'll also kind of analyze the difference between, peaceful protest and then, more violent protest. Is that something that's necessary? How does it change depending on what group we're looking at? So especially in marginalized communities, if you're, a Black or brown person, especially in countries that have had colonization, looking at places like Cuba, Vietnam, or in African-American communities, Chicano communities, is violence something that's necessary to kind of get out of those situations, but then also going back and talking about how it connects to broader themes of peace. So it kind of has a lot to cover, but it all ties in together in a very interesting way. So again, something I'm really looking forward to. I'm hoping to really fill that class up. So if anybody's curious about, that type of history, it's going to be, I think, a really, really interesting school year. So I think that's all of my courses. Okay. I'm missing anything, let me know. But I think that
I don't know, but I think that sounds good. I'm in the UK and it's 7:30 at night and I'm just super hungry. So that's where I am right now. Christy, go ahead and then I'll do mine.
Sure. So the class that I actually was like kind of the first one that I thought of when Jill and I started talking was my intro to law class. And I think some people sometimes erroneously think, oh, if this is only for kids who want to go to law school or so that they can find out about law school, which is great because I think a lot of kids want to go to law school, but it's helpful to kind of know, well, what does that mean? But I think it's so much more. And I almost want to, it's like almost adulting because in a way, like these students are going to go out into the world and it's like, okay, maybe, I want to be a content creator. Okay, well, what does technology law say? How do you do, like you read a contract? What do you have to do? What do those pieces mean? Okay, well, you're going to have to get an apartment. What does a lease mean? What are your rights? Like, what is a tenant? Everything, like it is hard to even think about all of the ways the law affects your life. And those are important things for anyone to know, right? I mean, sometimes people think, oh, well, this course is just going to be like learning about, what are the elements of murder or whatever, but it's not. I mean, we only spend maybe a week or two on criminal law, right? There's so many aspects of law. Like, I mean, we do everything from like the EPA to the, why you can't jaywalk. I mean, you name it. It is across.
So it's an all-encompassing course.
It's really all-encompassing, and there's oftentimes students are like, "Oh, I had no idea that involved, the law, or I should have thought about that." And I think it gets them also thinking, like, these people are going to be voters and citizens. What do they want? What kind of laws do they want to advocate for? What are laws? What do our laws govern in the United States? So that is a fun one. I think it's more fun than people sort of sometimes think, oh, well, am I just going to be, it's not, it's what I say to the students all the time. Like, this isn't law school, right? Like that's not what this is about. It's learning about the law of the United States, which is similar but different than I teach an American government through Supreme Court cases class. Okay. And I have two sections. One of them is closed because I want to limit the number of students because I want to be able to have a robust discussion. So there are two sections of that. And one of them is still, there's plenty of space in that one. But that one honestly turns into kind of half current events these days because there's so many Supreme Court cases coming down and I have to like change up my syllabus, right? Because What we do is we go through essentially the whole Constitution, but looking at how does the Supreme Court define, the duties of the president? How does the Supreme Court define what due process is owed, right? You can read the Constitution, but that doesn't tell you anything about what will happen in a given situation. And the way we do it is we look at the dissent and the majority. We look at the analysis for both, because as I tell the students over and over again, today's dissent can be tomorrow's majority. And we see that happening all throughout history, where one court, the loud dissent becomes the majority when that case is taken up again. So it's really, it helps them with a lot of modern things that they have to think through, but also like, why are things determined and what would change that? And then I spoke a little bit about my comparative literature class. I love to read books. Homeschoolers love to read books. Like, I think that's one of the best things about homeschoolers is we read so many books. But it's rare that like a book list, like I have things from like Antigone to Dostoevsky to Octavia Butler, like on one book list.
Right. It's a great book list.
And so it's like, it's a really vast, and we are really just going to talk a lot in this class like that. There's really not written. There's not going to be like writing assignments, right? Because there's just so much to read. So this is really a student that really just loves to read books that maybe you're going to do writing elsewhere, or they do a lot of writing in another class and they need an English class that's very book heavy. That's what this class, if you're like, my student loves to read and is not so much loves to write, this is the perfect class for them, because we're going to read
to discuss, right? You're going to discuss,
read and talk and read and talk.
Yeah.
I'm also teaching another new class that I'm so excited about, which is called Comparative Government Through Revolutions. And I love this because so much, people might say, oh, I want to change this, or I want to do, and that's great. I love, like, young people are so, idealistic, but sometimes like, okay, what's going to come out of that, right? Like, what led to this? And then on the other side, what came out of it? Like, what government came out on the other side? What were the things that caused this? And then why did they set up a government this way? Because I'm very interested in government and how governments are set up. What led to them deciding this versus something else?
Right.
We're going to study, and it's going to have a lot of historical aspects. Some of the things I didn't know. I have a friend that's a professor of Latin American studies in New York, and I was like, okay, tell me all of what do I need to have for my students, because I don't understand the revolutions there as much. And he sent me all these great resources.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So that, and then my final class is current events, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. So all of the students will need, it's not that expensive, it's to subscribe to Ground News, which if, I don't know if you're familiar with Ground News, but basically it gives you, it's like an aggregator, but then it tells you kind of the for the piece of media, like, okay, who's funding it, what, who's, so that they can look at news sources, but also evaluate, like, we might take a single news item and look at it, how it was reported across different media, and like, okay, how was that one thing looked at from 6 different sources, and how is it framed, right? So it's learning about current events, but also a lot of media literacy in, how that is presented.
And that's so important to young people today. Like, they need to know that. So I think that's a really, really great course that you're offering. Okay, was that all of them?
I think that's it. Right. I think that's it.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt, but I do want to add. I did want to add too, if people want to take more than one class, I would highly recommend taking Christy's Comparative Government Through Revolutions with my Peace and Protest class, because we cover some similar topics. I want to take your class so bad. I mean, it's similar to what I've done in college.
Yes.
But I mean, there's always time to go back and do it all over again. But
yes,
yeah,
maybe we'll have a crossover.
Anything revolution related, I am obsessed with. Latin American revolutions. I did so much in college around that. So it's such an interesting, you know, time and place in history. It's like one of my absolute passions in history. So it looks like such an interesting course. Especially
I was thinking it would be good with yours.
Yeah, cover different places too. So interesting.
Yeah.
And I think
I really love
that's
that.
really, and I was just thinking from like a college admissions perspective, sometimes when you have these courses that are similar, it can really go to show a strong interest for a student, and it helps with their story, like, oh, I'm really interested in these types of things, so I've done these multiple courses that are,
it's really, really good. So like Farah and I here at Simplify help students apply to college, and we help them all the way through high school plan their courses. And it's really nice. I think, especially if you're in any of the Facebook groups, there's a lot of panic going on right now, quite a lot, because the whole higher education is changing. AI is coming out. People are feeling tons of anxiety. The costs are through the roof more than ever before, you know. And I understand all this, but you don't want to be, homeschoolers are in such a unique position that they can give their kids something different. And you want to check some boxes. So maybe every year the kid has a couple dual enrollment or some APs and very standard courses, but to then add in these courses that are very outside the box and show an interest and build upon that interest, that actually goes a long way in college admissions and really helps students, because the admission officers are looking at application after application after application. They have about 5 minutes total to go over these applications. And usually all the coursework is almost identical at these top schools, you know, all these APs, all exactly the same, nothing that really stands out. And homeschooling, and homeschoolers have such a great track record with applying to colleges and then once going. So it's not like they look at homeschoolers through a different lens or anything. They understand homeschoolers are very unique and they like that. And then you have unique coursework, and suddenly it's like, you know, after looking at 30 applications and suddenly they get to a homeschooler, it's like, oh, this is cool. What was this course? Let me see what the resources were. This is so outside the box, whether it be cults or revolutions or, you know, American history through music. All these are very different. Game design. This is what we do at Moth. You know, we just really have these interesting courses that I think more students really would enjoy taking, and it would help with admissions so much. So on that note, let me talk about mine real quick. I've been teaching, this being my third year coming up, and I majored in film at the University of California, Santa Barbara. That was my major. I love film. If you don't know that much about film, you may not know that Truffaut is named after a French film director from the 1950s and 60s. And that just goes to show how much I absolutely love film. And so I have an introduction to film studies, and in that we go just pretty much through the whole history of film from the beginning until modern times. We do 2 major projects. So students do have to do a creative project. We do one on film genre and one on the auteur theory, which says that a director is the one that really is an author of the films. And we really look at that analytically. I'm just going through everyone's projects right now, and they're so good. I mean, I give kids creative control. I want them to propose to me what project they're going to do. And then I tell them, you know, it's good or it's not. And then we talk about it. In my classes, I really like students to take control, feel like they're in charge of things. I want to hear their thoughts on films. I want them to debate with each other, you know, if they have different thoughts. And I like it to be a very safe environment where they feel they can really share their feelings. And in my courses, you know, and at Moth in general, we like cameras on, we want everyone discussing. In my courses, I call on everyone from week 1. And within 3 weeks, they're all used to each other and are all happy to talk. And it becomes a very friendly environment, which I really, really love. For students who do intro, I also have advanced film studies. And this year I'm doing it differently because of AI is one of my main reasons. And so the advanced course is now called the Art of Film Curation, and every student will be teaching their own unit to the class. So what I am going to do is start out with 2 mini units that I teach with a TA that has been in my film classes for numerous years. His name is Darren. He is going to help me in this class. And I'm going to teach 2 different units where we watch 3 films that are related and talk about it and frame it in a certain way. Then we're going to spend a few weeks developing and going over how to build your own unit. And I and Darren will also help support students around this. And then each student will teach the class for 3 weeks each throughout the year. And of course, it's not just, they're not completely on their own. I will be there helping them every step of the way. But they will have the opportunity to teach to their peers, which I think is such an important skill moving forward. Especially in going to college and with the way everything's changing. I think communication is just going to be so important, and being able to share your ideas and being comfortable talking to your peers and other people and being on camera and everything. So that's really what my film courses, classes are going to highlight. I also do book clubs, and I'm doing book clubs. One of them is Sci-Fi Dystopia Book Club, which is waitlisted, but we probably have room for a few more if anyone would like to join. And this book club, I'm so happy about. The student who wanted to do it, she came to me and proposed it, has been in my book club since she was probably 9 or 10 years old, and has done almost all of them out of school. She's probably done 20 book clubs, done my film courses, done other things, and she is going to help me TA. She's going to TA this course. She actually designed it. This is another thing that Moth loves. We really want our students to become engaged and design courses. You know, she just came out to me and said, reached out to me and was like, can I do this club? And I'm like, yes, we can do this book club. We will do it. And so I'm really excited about that. It's a great book list. And then we're doing queer studies through graphic novels. I have a TA for that one too, who was in my advanced film class last year. So they're going to be TAing it. Very much loves graphic novels and loves art. And I love the stories more. So we'll talk about both sides to every book. Graphic novels are so wonderful and are really good to have as a book list. They're really worth it in so many ways. I think sometimes parents don't quite understand how good and well written and the artwork and everything of a graphic novel is. But we're going to pair that with another graphic novel that just covers queer studies. So we're going to do a different topic each month from the spine book and then from the graphic novel, and discuss it again in a very safe and welcoming environment, which is always my goal. And especially for that, the queer studies class is for students 15 and above. So it's not for the younger teens on that one. And that is my classes. One thing I wanted to say is that Moth is really just a welcoming environment to everybody. And when you sign your kid up and register them, that we have a question, you know, like, is there any disabilities that your student has? Please let us know. We're very open to that. We're very open to working with students. Some students do have a lot of anxiety and have trouble being on camera, and sometimes have trouble getting used to discussing. I always tell students, you know, if you put your comment in chat, I will read it aloud. So you still feel like you're contributing, you know, and so we're open to that. We also have another question, just let us know anything that you need to let us know. And we read those very carefully, especially right before we start our courses, and then we get to know the students. So your student will feel supported and will feel very safe in this environment. Okay, any last minute thoughts from anybody? At all? No? Okay, then I just want to say one thing. We're missing 2 teachers. We have 2 other new teachers who are traveling right now. I think one of them might be at a graduation. It's a very busy time. And we have a teacher who's going to do psychology courses, which I'm super excited about. Her name's Lisa. She's doing a psychology film and book club, which meets once a month and covers a different topic. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And then she's doing outside the textbook psychology class, which is not going to be your typical psychology class. She wants students really getting out in the community and stuff, and you know, noticing things, and she's going to just offer it in a little bit different way than you would see in like a standard psychology class. So I'm excited about that. And then we have Rebecca, who's doing a habit formation class, which may be closing soon. So if anyone wants in on that, you should absolutely sign up soon. Also a photography class, which is amazing and really is going to go nicely with film and all our other creative offerings. And then a literature class too, and literature reimagined. So that's our second literature course. We have 2 literature courses for the upcoming year and then book clubs. And so that course will be taking classics and then reading modern takes on it. And it's going to be very, very interesting. So I highly recommend you look at those courses. And all of our listings are at mothlearning.com. Our calendar is up. Our course catalog for 2026-27 is there. Again, some of our classes are getting full and others are closing. So if you would like to sign your student up, you should do it very soon. Last thing, we do have summer workshops, and actually Farah does teach here at Moth because she's doing a summer college essay workshop.
Shows what I know.
Yeah, and I am doing a summer college nut and bolt shop workshop where it's for students, rising seniors. So if it's not a rising senior, don't take the course yet. It won't make sense. And in this course, we are going to build a college list for everybody that will make sense and will be tailored to each student. The students get access to Maya, which is our list building service where students can build their college list. They get to have a one-on-one meeting with me in talking about the college list, which is really important. We will discuss likelies, targets, reaches, lotteries, and also what schools make sense for a family's finances, whether they should be targeting merit aid, need-based aid, or both. And it's so important that your students have a really good college list so they're not disappointed when it comes time for making decisions, right, Christy? I see you're like...
It's all about the list.
It is.
You have to start with the list, because if the list is wrong, there is nothing but sadness and disappointment in the spring.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's often when kids are disappointed, it's often because the list was not done correctly.
Yeah. And sometimes the list is done correctly for their academically, but then the family can't pay for it. You know,
that's exactly, absolutely. Like if you can't, I mean, yes, financial. For most families, the financial aspect is the number one thing that is the make or break, right? Like very few people can just shop wherever.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why with this workshop, we start with the college list, then we go over the Common App, other applications like the UCs and such. We work on the activity list. The activity list today for college admissions, I would argue, is sometimes even more important than the essay, because the essay is becoming a little less important with AI and everything. And the activity list, they want to see kids engaged. They want to see kids doing things all the way through high school, and they only have a few minutes to glance at it. So I work with the kids on the activity list quite extensively. And then we talk about letters of recommendation and whether you might have to do an interview and what honors colleges are. So it's just a really nice workshop for anyone who cannot, who doesn't have another person lined up to help you, or who can't afford one-on-one counseling services. So that's why we provide this. Also, real quick, anyone who's low income, if you're watching, we do have a few scholarship spaces, so reach out to me. And if you are a low income family and worried about college admissions, I was a single parent. Truffaut knows this very well. We were on a very, very low income. There is a program called QuestBridge. Truffaut was a QuestBridge scholar, and QuestBridge is a wonderful, wonderful program for high achieving high school students coming from a lower income family to apply to college, and you use just the QuestBridge application. If anyone's interested in how to do that, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help anyone in that situation. And I think, and I did talk about my book club. I think I covered everybody. I think that's it. I think that is it. So please reach out to us with any questions. Our email is admin@mothlearning.com. There's also a contact us on our site, and if you have anything, let us know. All right. Aaliyah, do you know when we start when the school year starts? Does anyone? August?
Well, I know that we start at the end of August. The exact date, I'm not entirely sure of. I want to say it's like after
August
the 20th.
August 24th is the
August 24th.
Yeah.
Okay. And we purposely, because I work with Farah so much, and Farah and I like to take vacations together sometimes. I made our, so our calendar is exactly the same as AIM. And I know that one reason is I hear from homeschool families, they get so frustrated that every provider has a different calendar and no one has spring break at the same time. So Moth and AIM are on the exact same one, if that makes it easier for anybody for vacation and that. And then Farah and I like to go away in March. So that's why that was done that way. All right, everyone, thank you so much. I appreciate you joining us. Again, the recording will be up and then we'll share a lot on social media too. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
I have to
Bye.
end this. Okay. I don't know how to end this, so I'm going to close it, everyone.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Okay. Bye. Bye.